I'm going to say hello as well.
Okay, I think we,
Oh, that's just to you.
yes, it's just me. I think we are good to go and good to start. I see a lot of people have already joined, and yeah, so welcome everyone. Glad to have you today, and welcome to the founder AMA of Infinite Fleet. I am Arnab Naskar. I'm the co-founder and the business lead of STOKR, and today I will host the AMA. Last week, Infinite Fleet launched the public offering of the security token on STOKR. We have some very big bang news we got last week that Tether International Limited invested 1 million USD in the Infinite Fleet STO. And Tether also joined, more excitingly, they joined as a lead investor for the investment round. To take the discussion further, today we have with us Christopher Wood, the CEO of Exodium. The Exodium is actually the company behind the game Infinite Fleet. And also we have with us Hope, the CMO of Exodium, to talk with us about Infinite Fleet, its vision, about the STO, to answer any question that you have, and everything regarding the game. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks very much for hosting this, Arnab. It's good to be here.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Arnab, for the intro.
Glad to have you guys here with us. So, last April, I think we spoke regarding Infinite Fleet for the first time in our AMA, where we had few users of STOKR and few other network people. And we discussed about 2021 and how you guys are doing it. And yeah, there are a lot of big plans we saw, right? And I'm pretty sure like we have a lot of updates that we need to follow on or catch up that you guys achieved in the last couple of months and what we are also planning for this year. But before we deep dive into that thing, I would request, either Chris or Hope, you just explain a little bit on Infinite Fleet in short for the new listeners who just started following the Infinite Fleet and just, catching up on the fever, as you say. So they are up to the speed about Infinite Fleet and what the game is all about.
Sure thing. Happy to dive in and talk about the game anytime. So Infinite Fleet is an MMO game, which means massively multiplayer online. So you're thinking of something like World of Warcraft, EV Online, something like this. It's a space game. So you as a player, you have a fleet of ships that you'll construct and configure and play with, shall we say. And what you'll do in the game with other players is fight back an alien race called the Atrox, who are trying to destroy us all. And in that, you will be sort of carving out an empire in a procedurally generated galaxy of millions of stars where you can, make your mark by building mining installations, defense platforms, space stations, colonizing planets, all this kind of thing. Very, very exciting indeed. And one of our main features of the game is that, unlike a lot of other games that don't really quite deliver on this, we are using a directed narrative feature, which means that the community and the actions of the community have a real impact on the future of the game and what happens. But we can dive into that a little bit later if there's more questions about it. But one of the main key things as well is that we have the INF currency that, again, I think we'll probably talk about a little bit later, but it is a portable currency which will allow players to extract real value from their investment of time playing the game. And behind that, we have an amazing team to back it all up. So that's the basic premise, I think, and we can kind of dive into all those things later, I'm sure, as questions roll in.
Amazing, Chris. It's always, quite exciting to hear you guys and what you are doing and what you guys have achieved also so far. That's quite interesting and fascinating. So now let's come to what's new. So what would you guys to give us as an update? So what happened?
Well, there's quite a few things since we last spoke. One of the main things is that the alpha is coming out at the end of this month, right? So that's the like next week basically. We're all working, we're all kind of firing on all cylinders. There's one or two sweat beads on the forehead right now, getting things done. But the alpha is going to be out at the end of this month, so we're unbelievably excited about that people are actually going to be able to get their hands on and get into the game. So that's the main thing. But we've had a few new hires as well. We got a guy, Jeff Posey, as our senior network engineer, and he was on the original Ultima Online team. He was like their third programmer. Ultima Online's one of it basically set the standard for MMOs since, I think it was 2000 or 99 when it came on. I'm probably getting that wrong, but it was very early, at least 20 years ago. And so he's had so much experience, and he's really helping us to keep things stable and make sure the networking allows us to get hundreds and hundreds of players playing the game together and have a really awesome experience. Hope, anything you want to add to that? Anything that's been happening lately that you think our viewers should know?
I just want to give an update on in terms of our fundraising. So as you guys know, we're here with STOKR because we are doing our public security token offering on STOKR's platform, which actually it's quite a pioneering feat that we're doing because we are, as far as we know, we are the first video game company / video game project to basically raise capital through a security token, as well as basically through an equity crowdfunding sort of thing, as opposed to a lot of traditional video game projects that go through Kickstarter, where people pledge money in exchange for some in-game related perks, such as alpha access or soundtracks or things like that, right? So we're trying something different, and this is because we sort of we have our team has expertise both in the gaming field and also in the crypto field, right? So we have quite a lot of experience in the Bitcoin space, in blockchain related industries, and we are proponents of the adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. So that is one of the main reasons we are actually doing a security token offering, because we want to explore this new area where you can bring the capital markets, right? You can bring things like equity and stocks and things like this onto the blockchain, and STOKR are one of the companies that are making this possible, right? So yeah, so it's quite exciting. We're attempting a couple of new things in different aspects, and yeah, I would say we're one of the most innovative players in these areas. So in terms of fundraising, so I think some people already know we actually raised 3.1 million US dollars in a seed round, which concluded last summer. And that was mostly led by a few of the sort of the big name visionaries in the Bitcoin space, right? So people like Dr. Adam Back, who is the CEO of Blockstream, and people like Charlie Lee, who is the creator of Litecoin, and we also have a guy who was a senior executive at Microsoft. So that seed round was led by a few fairly well-known visionaries in both crypto and in gaming. And now we're doing the second round, which is open to the public on STOKR to select European countries, and we also have a private segment that's ongoing at the same time for sort of more bigger private investors.
Fantastic, Hope. I think that's quite some, I would say, new updates that people are getting to know. Also, I think let's come, because we once we did this announcement of this webinar, we asked people, the listeners, to ask us some questions, and we have got a pretty big list of questions that people have asked. We will come back to them one by one. And but before we just jump on, I just want to ask you, you're getting a lot of investors from different markets, different fields, and others. What really you have seen that people get excited about the STO, and what makes them feel quite interesting, when they're participating in investment opportunities like this?
I think Chris, I can start. So I think we're getting I would say several types of investors, right? So obviously, since we're doing this capital raise through a security token, the majority of investors we have, I would say, are familiar or quite expert within the crypto space, right? So they have experience dealing with tokens, or they hold Bitcoin and things like that. So they're very comfortable using this technology. So I would say one big group we have are people who are very familiar with crypto. They're crypto investors, but they're also very much avid gamers, or they're big fans of video gaming, right? And found
Chris, are we losing hope here?
I think we're just losing
gaming
hope.
as well. They have this inherent thing of the value of digital currencies.
Hope, I think we lost you for a second. Can you please
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
am I
can hear
back?
you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I was just saying that a major group of our investors so far are people who are familiar with crypto, who are already crypto investors, but who are also very enthusiastic about gaming, right? And we found a lot of overlap as well between the two areas, because a lot of people who are gamers, especially MMO gamers, they have a good understanding of the value of digital assets and digital economies. So it was easy for them to migrate over and grasp what we're trying to do. And I would say another group is we do have some, so-called regular gamers, right? Like people in our Discord server, for example. I think they're just excited to be able to back a game, but it's something novel. It's not just the Kickstarter model where, something like Star Citizen, for example, where you pledge money for 9 years and you just wait until they release the game, right? So it's something novel. It's something that's quite exciting. People are happy that they're able to get access to basically equity in a company for $100, right? So that's something exciting for a lot of people.
Yes, I think it's an interesting example of Star Citizen, right? So it's quite an interesting about how that things turned up. But let's not go into that, but let's focus on Infinite Fleet on this point and this moment. We have a very interesting question, actually, which we got from John Mills. It's regarding the tokenomics. So the question that was raised was, what is the tokenomics of definitely the EXO token? But also, I think when you're discussing about the EXO token that is being issued in the STO, maybe a lot of people are confusing still now with the INF token and the EXO token. So maybe it will be good to give a rough overview. And also one part of the question, I'll just finish it. So one part is just the tokenomics detail. The other part he's asking is, can you please provide some info on the seed rounds that you have raised that Hope briefly touched upon?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, there's quite a lot to unpack there, obviously, but I think the first thing we just want to really emphasize here is the difference between the EXO token and the INF token, right? So let me just outline that the INF token is purely a utility in-game currency that will allow players to trade digital items peer-to-peer. It's essentially a marketplace that's, like in games like World of Warcraft or something, they have World of Warcraft Gold, and a lot of people did sort of black market gold farming and things like this outside of the game. We want to embrace it and create a win-win for the players. It really gives power to the players that they can actually take items that they've spent, their blood, sweat, and tears to get, and be able to trade them to other players. And then the INF token can be extracted onto their own digital wallet and can go from there. The INF token is, we're never going to sell it. There's no ICO or anything like this. It's something that is purely earned in game by you taking part in various events and things like that. So that's the INF token, purely utility, just in game. EXO is a security token. It's a registered security that, of course, STOKR has helped us on the regulatory front there. But it is essentially a representation of a share in our company and share in the game. So it's not just, again, like an ICO token or something like that you hope is just going to pump and dump. This is an actual, you're coming along for the ride. This economically, this has equity in the company and also a annual net profit dividend as well, essentially as well. So that's the main difference. Now, in terms of the tokenomics, yes, we did a raise. As Hope mentioned, we raised 3.1 million at that stage at a 25-cent round for, as you said, seed, mostly in our sort of close network. This was when we were very, very early on in the development in the game. And of course, there's a bit more risk. Now we're opening things up. In total, we're raising 12 million, 8 million through STOKR and this EU issuance, and 4 million through the US, two separations there. And that's, like I say, total of 12 million for 50 cents per token, essentially. So yeah, in terms of the actual percentages and things, the STO, all the tokens at that point through the STO should be about 40% of the entire tokens that are being issued here. So currently it's 61.2 million tokens that are being issued. Part of that, of course, is an options plan for the team, which is vested annually over 4 years. But the dividend is only paid out to tokens that have been received, that have been that are in the people's wallets, right? So the options, for example, they are vested over 4 years. So that means, in the first year there will be no dividend share for the team members of Exordium Limited and Infinite Fleet, essentially.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I think before we go to the next question, also I will ask all the audience who are listening from our YouTube channel or over here from the Zoom, please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat section, and we will take the questions one by one. So we will first address all the existing questions, and then we'll come to the new questions that we are receiving. Okay, coming to the next question. The next question is actually from Christoph Haas, and I see that he has also asked a few questions on the chat. So the main question that he asked is, what are the USPs of Infinite Fleet, I would imagine here, and what is the strategy to risk mitigation, and what is the revenue model that your business? Yeah, quite some questions packed in one.
So much stuff to unpack.
Yeah, quite some questions coming from Christoph, but they're very relevant, and it's very good to hear that people are really interested to know about the revenue model and the business and everything. Sure. So go ahead.
Okay, Chris. So maybe me and Hope can kind of 50-50 this one, and he can deal with the revenue model, and I'll take this sort of unique selling points of the game itself and what is going to be attractive to our fan base, essentially. So there's a few things. We're innovating a genre which we're calling sort of an action strategy. So typically there is an RTS, real-time strategy genre. These would be games like Age of Empires, Homeworld, Command and Conquer, these kind of games where you're commanding a whole bunch, an army essentially. And we have MMO, massively multiplayer online, like World of Warcraft. So there's a mix there. And we're putting in some action in there as well. So without getting too nerdy, essentially you're going to have a control of a fleet of ships, and you're going to be in a very cinematic view. You're going to see like a Star Wars, for example, all the kind of explosions, the massive scale of these planets and asteroids and whatever else that you're up close and personal in. But you're also going to have strategic decisions to make in order to get the upper hand. Now, also, as I mentioned in the opening, we have the directed narrative feature, which means that the community and the choices that the community make are going to have a massive lasting impact in the entire game. And an example I always like to use is that if the Atrox, the aliens, come to Earth and try to destroy Earth, then the community of players have to band together to fight back. And if they fail, then that means that Earth could be wiped out completely forever, and key characters killed, destroyed, and that's written into the history of the game. And the people that took part, the MVPs and everything, would also be written into that as well. So that's a really important point, because in MMOs, you have to have a feeling that you're important, because it's almost like a second life, right? You're a hero, you're a champion, and that's very much what we want to do with that. And there's a lot more as well. I don't want to get into too much nitty-gritty detail for a lot of people that are listening. I'm sure are more focused on the investment side, but my DMs are always open, and I'm happy to chat away on Discord if you want to dive into the game a little bit more. Hope maybe you want to talk about the revenue model somewhat.
Yeah, I guess so. So from the more business side of things, in terms of the revenue model, we plan to do a freemium model, which is quite popular nowadays with a lot of games, especially MMO games. So games like Fortnite, for example, and even EVE Online and Warframe. All these are very popular MMO games, and they're all free to play, right? So basically, they're able to get huge user bases because anyone can play for free. But there are lots of in-game purchases where you can buy virtual items, for example. Most of them are focused around basically they're sort of vanity items. They're focused on appearance or aesthetics, right? So in Fortnite, for example, you can buy a Gucci purse for your character inside the game, right? So things like that. So when people are very devoted to these MMO games, they you try to collect whatever items you can to customize your character, right? So in most of these freemium models, the main source of revenue comes from selling those in-game digital items. So in our case, that would be like customized spaceships or limited edition spaceships, or even custom effects, space stations, or things like that, right? So there'll be a lot of things that can be players can purchase in game, which won't directly affect the strength or weakness of players, because we don't want to make it in a way that is so obviously pay to win per se. But it's going to be more aesthetic and more about customizing, or more about even rarity of the item. So let's say if you buy something from the first generation at release, but we don't make this model of a ship anymore later on, then you would have a limited edition ship, which hopefully would increase in value over time as well, which you can then even resell on our peer-to-peer marketplace to other players using the INF token as the sort of the currency of transaction, right? Also on top of that, I would say we are we have some unique our unique selling points in terms of the crypto component I think are quite disruptive, because as most of you guys know who are familiar with crypto, there currently isn't a lot of adoption outside of, I would say, trading. I think we're seeing a little more of that nowadays with things like NFTs and whatnot. People are starting to get more into other areas besides just trading. But for us, we actually want to leverage this cryptocurrency for the game currency to basically to bring crypto to the mainstream gamer audience. Because one problem so-called blockchain games and crypto games have had in the past was that they were quite difficult to access, and they didn't really have a proper game component, right? So a lot of the sort of the on-chain D-app games, they were mostly transactional. You are mostly just buying a particular token, whether it's a crypto kitty or it's some other sort of NFT, and it's mostly about making the transaction and collectibles and things like that. There is almost no actual game component with those projects, right? So for us, we don't want to make that focused around the blockchain. We're using the crypto side as a bonus, I would say, to add to the economy of our game. But the game itself is going to be a proper game, and we want to attract proper gamers first, who then let's say if you're someone who's been playing the game a lot and you manage to accumulate a large amount of INF tokens, which is the game currency, then you will definitely have the incentive to learn more about how to transfer this crypto asset, right? How to send it to your own wallet, or send it to a third-party crypto exchange and sell it for BTC or for USDT or whatever else. So we're hoping that we can open the Pandora's box that way.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing that you highlighted, because a lot of games which I've also seen in the market at this point of time, which are promoting them as blockchain games. Sometimes for those games which I see, the focus is much more on the blockchain than on the games, and then experience became somewhere very diluted, right? And that creates kind of a not so interesting gamer experience in that sense. Coming to what we discussed, I think, Chris and Hope, on this point, I want to just add one perspective here, just to see how you guys are thinking. Is if I am a user, let's say I like Infinite Fleet, I like the game, but I don't want to play as an active player. I want to be a spectator watching somebody playing. And how do you see that kind of community creation where people can only come just to watch somebody playing the game and just being a part of that in the community? Do you see something very like Infinite Fleet is focusing also for that kind of audience, or it's just kind of a player focused game?
Well, I mean, obviously, it is a game, and people definitely, we assume a lot of people will want to play, but of course, at the same time, we're going to be looking at having community content, streaming, this kind of thing. People, of course, can be very involved in the community. I think we're always hopping on Discord and always happy to chat with people. But primarily it's a game, right? We're certainly focused on people being very active, and even like the INF rewards and things like that are very much for people that are really, really taking part. So yeah, it's like, because if we compare it with something like EVE Online, which is another popular sort of space MMO game, a lot of people call it like an interactive spreadsheet, right? Which EVE Online, I don't mean to throw dirt. It's a really cool game. There's a lot that's going on with it. But ours is going to be a little bit more action-packed, a little bit more focused, and more hands-on. It's not going to be something where you're just going to be away from keyboard on a dual monitor, like mining over here while I do my work. You know, the Infinite Fleets are very much a hands-on game, I would say. But it will have a companion app as well for some sort of fleet management and AFK missions as well. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be pretty hands-on.
Sounds good. Now, I see also there are some questions regarding how can I buy a spaceship? Is it possible?
Buy a spaceship? Absolutely.
Buy a spaceship,
well, yes.
Yeah.
Store will be dropping soon. So yes, you'll be able to purchase spaceships on infinitefleet.com shortly. We'll be announcing the release of our store within the next, the very near future.
That's great. The other question is where the game will be launched, PlayStation or Xbox? What's your take on that?
So it's PC. The first drop is going to be certainly PC. We are very much considering down the line porting to Xbox and PlayStation. In fact, one of our investors was actually head of emerging markets at Xbox, and certainly we're going to be consulting with him on that front. So that's a really great value add, actually, in terms of our investors. And in terms of design, we do have that in the back of our mind, and our designers are, looking at control schemes and how it could work and how it could be ported to PS4 and Xbox as well. So certainly we would like Infinite Fleet to be available to all gamers.
So is it a part of your go-to-market strategy also? Like
yes. Okay. Long term, yes. But not in the first year or two. But obviously we want to build the PC side first. But yes, long term we are very strongly considering Xbox and PS4. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so now coming back to the question on investments on the STO side, I think there is one question that came is how many investors are currently you guys are having based on the fact that you did also on Bank to the Future round, you also had this private seed sale, soft round that you mentioned. So how many investors, is it only the investors people are asking that is mentioned on STOKR, or there are also additional investors beyond that what is mentioned on STOKR page?
Yeah, certainly additional. So as I mentioned that we've got the US and the EU side, on non-STOKR, we had about 12 investors so far, but we are very much we're getting a massive influx actually. Samson recently went on the Preston Pish podcast, and we've had a lot more sort of PR and stuff going on. Thanks, obviously Hope's been doing a great job on that front, and my inbox, to be honest, has been on fire lately. I don't know if you can see the bags under these eyes right now, but we've had a lot of interest as well as on outside the STOKR side as well. Certainly on the US side, things are going very well indeed. So certainly quite happy on that.
Yes, I think we also received quite some interest from the US investor side, but unfortunately, STOKR is not open. So hopefully Infinite Fleet can find a way out for providing an opportunity for the US side. And yeah, it's accessibility, right? We are talking about accessibility of making investments.
Indeed. And we are applying for a Reg A Plus at the moment. So that's something that's in the works, and that we do hope that, very, very soon. We don't have a specific time frame, of course, because we have to work with the SEC. But that is something that we are very, very much working on.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the paperworks are obviously taking a while with the SEC on the US side for the public offering, but we're currently accepting accredited investors from the US, right? Because that would be it's a private offering rather than public. So
I think you guys already mentioned this point before regarding the alpha, and I think there's some questions regarding what is the timeline for alpha?
Yeah, so alpha is dropping at the end of this month. In like where are we? We're on the 26th. So, oh my goodness, it's only days away. Very, very soon indeed. And then, so the way it's going to work is that we're going to be doing iterative release of this game. So essentially, like, we release a very core element of this game in the first alpha release, and then we build and build and build iteratively. Every month or two, we'll be dropping large amounts of content and features and just widening the scope of the game so that it builds organically. And of course, we're going to have an ear to the ground for feedback from our community and make sure that we're building something that the community really loves. It's like, I think we were discussing before, games like that are built 100% and everything goes into it, all the budget and all the investment, they kind of drop like the Avengers game. I think we were talking about that before. Multi-millions of dollars went into this game and everyone was just a bit like, meh. It didn't really go for it. But that's because, it was all upfront and thrown out there and a bit buggy on release, but never mind. For us, we want to build something core that, certainly comes from our heart on that front, where we're very, very passionate about. We're all MMO gamers. Certainly Samson, our CEO, was actually originally, he was a massive gamer in Lineage 2. I think he was running his own gold farm at the time. All this kind of thing is quite funny. Big MMO players. And so, this is very much a passion project for us. But at the same time, like I say, we start small, get feedback, get the data, and make sure that we're building something that everybody loves.
I just want to add something to that. So actually, I would say in general, the development model of video games has changed over the past 5 years. It used to be very much like you develop this game, then you just drop the game on the disc, right, on the CD or something like that. But nowadays, it's especially multiplayer games, is really turned into an ongoing service more so, I would say. So it's more like a SaaS nowadays, rather than just develop this game and then it's released today and you're done with it. Now it's now multiplayer games are ongoing. They're so and that's something that's what we're going to do as well. We'll build and we'll develop the game iteratively. We'll release new updates regularly, and that's that's going to be the way it is.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I was also reading quite a lot on the gaming market and collectively how the VCs are looking into that. And a very interesting article, I think it came somewhere last year from Andreessen Horowitz, is they're considering games, or the MMO games mostly, the genre that you're talking about for Infinite Fleet. That kind of MMO games are the next social media, right? And that's what I think it's quite visionary for me to to imagine the games can be a social media. But when I now really think about the interactions that you have with Fortnite, interaction that we had also with some other games like Dota and those things, it definitely has some potential. Would like to know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, the market's huge. It's getting bigger and bigger all the time. It's Ready Player One, right? I don't know if you saw that movie, but the MMOs are an unbelievably huge social immersive phenomenon. Of course, in the early days, I think they were maybe a little bit difficult to access, but more and more these days, it's very, very easy to freely download and play an MMO for something that you might enjoy. And like you say, it is a Second Life. There is even an MMO called Second Life, right? Where people have been flipping real estate and whatnot. So I don't think it's out. I think it's already there, in my opinion. Maybe it's just more a case of adoption for the masses. What do you think, Hope?
Yeah, I think there is definitely potential for gaming, for multiplayer gaming, to become sort of a social media platform, right? Because social media itself has been changing a lot over the past 10 years as well. Because when we first started, I think back in like 2005 or something, it was just Facebook was the first sort of mainstream social network of our generation, right? There was MySpace and all that before, but it was completely different. But now, now Facebook, I would say Facebook's days seem numbered, because now it's, Facebook now is like a platform for boomers, right? Whereas things like Twitter or TikTok, Reddit, these sort of platforms have taken off, because I would say that just the flow of information is much faster on these platforms. And also, people have shorter and shorter attention spans, right? So you need these things to be fast and to be interconnected. And I think going into the future, we'll definitely see more and more sort of communities, this community factor developing on games, as well as streaming platforms and things like that, right? Because streaming is getting very huge, and sometimes it's it's basically a bunch of people chatting with a streamer, just spending some time online together, watching each other play games and things like that. And I think that will spill over to just MMO games themselves as well, because if you're able to integrate certain plugins or things like that from outside of the game, then there could be a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think that's the vision. I think of all the gaming industry, if you see the gaming ETFs, how they're performing, and also the recent IPOs that we are recently hearing. I think, Rob, we just heard, I think this month, that you have Roblox is doing a direct listing instead of going for an IPO. And last year, we already know that Unity did an very big IPO, and that's really showed that it's not definitely on one side you have this huge marketplaces that need to be created, huge social media, but to create that you need investments, right? And you cannot have those products without having a big investments pipeline. You cannot do just with the I would say very small indie game developers. It's not possible. You need investments to flow in. Also, I think like one very interesting thing, which I'm also seeing personally currently in the gaming market, there are a lot of synergies happening between the gaming community and the crypto community, and the synergies are increasing. Yeah, just to inform here over here that yesterday there was announced as D9. It's one of the large, I would say, Chinese gaming company that is listed publicly on the Chinese stock exchange. It is buying 26,000 ASIC mining equipment. So they're going into the Bitcoin mining. And that's very interesting, to see that how Bitcoin and this kind of cryptocurrencies are very much connected to the gaming ecosystem. Coming to that point, I think, Hope, I think the question is for you here. There are a lot of NFTs that are in discussion right now in the crypto community, right? How do you see the NFT discussions are going, and how do you see Infinite Fleet is relevant in the NFT discussion in the coming days?
Well, I mean, personally, I haven't really participated in the NFT rush, but it is quite interesting to observe from a distance because I saw recently, so there's this NFT app called Top Shots, which is about NBA basketball highlights, things like that. So people made they made the basically NBA highlight plays like LeBron James dunks and things like that into short video clips with with like holographic effects and stuff, and they've minted tokens for basically each play, right? So people have been bidding on these things, and I think one of the LeBron James dunks basically is a video of the dunk with an associated NFT, and it was sold for I think around 70,000 US dollars, which is quite massive, right? So I think it's very interesting because it shows that people are excited about having sort of this this value of scarcity and of collectibles, digital collectibles, right? So that's very big because that shows that the this sort of digital and crypto economy we have is real. It shows that people are showing interest and there's more and more money flowing into it, which is really positive because it makes the entire space more. It gives optimism to the entire space, right? And I think actually earlier when we were talking about MMO gaming and social media platforms and things like that, I think one thing that's missing with online games is more monetization for players, like a more sort of interconnected economy. And I think that's something huge that crypto has been able to bring, because crypto has been able to bring this level of decentralization. And I'm not really talking about decentralization in terms of like running your nodes or mining, things like that, but in terms of access to capital, access to sort of trading opportunities and things like that, right? Because it's easy. I mean, now there's more KYC and things like that, but a few years ago, anyone can just open an account on Bitfinex or Binance, and you can send in some BTC and you can trade, right? So it's this level of access was never available before, even as recent as 5 years ago. So now you're seeing way more young people spending time online, trading cryptos, farming, buying NFTs, trading NFTs. And I think gaming is a huge industry, right? There's 2 billion people around the world who play games. So if they're able to somehow monetize the amount of time they spend in gaming, I think that would be very widespread adoption. And that's something that we're trying to push, right? It's I think it's very early, and obviously there are some challenges, but that's something we think has very disruptive potential, I would say.
Thanks for explaining, Hope, because this is NFTs. I would say from end of last year, or I would say Q2 of 2020, this discussion of NFTs took quite some momentum, and it's at the same time when DeFi or decentralized finance discussions were happening. That's quite interesting to hear that you guys are looking into that. There is one legal, I think this is not legal, but specific to the question about the company structures, right? And I think, Chris, this is a question that we have received from some of our investors also in the past and some of the users. What is the relationship between Exodium, Infinite Fleet, and other companies? And this is something if you can
okay. Yeah, sure.
Light, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So actually, you opened up saying that I was COO of Exodium. Actually, that's slightly incorrect. I'm COO of Pixelmatic. Just want to clear that up, and Hope is as well CMO of Pixelmatic. So Pixelmatic is the developer of Infinite Fleet. We developed the game, and we have a development contract with Exodium Limited, which is a publisher. Now, there's a bit of crossover between Exodium and Pixelmatic, but they are independent companies, but we're mostly a lot of the same people. Now, Exodium is like I say, a publisher, which is not only publishing Infinite Fleet, but we'll be looking at some third-party licensing as well, because Samson, our CEO at Pixelmatic, for example, he was previously an exec at Ubisoft, which is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. He is essentially responsible for Ubisoft's success in China. Anyway, he is very, very experienced producer and whatnot, publisher. He's driving this east-west bridge where we're looking for games that we can take to the west from China or East Asia or whatever, and vice versa. That's part of our model. So it's not just Infinite Fleet that people are investing in; it's the entire publisher long term. And also, we will, of course, develop other games as well based on the back of the technology that we're building for Infinite Fleet. There's a lot of innovative stuff that's going on under the hood for this game in terms of certainly networking and a lot of that, which we can then reuse to create new games. And that is what we do intend to do long term. But of course, Infinite Fleet is excuse the pun, but the flagship product that we're driving here. But this is an investment in the publisher Exodium Limited, which will publish a wide catalog of games. It's like, when you consider Steam, like Valve and Steam, they obviously started with Half-Life and Counter-Strike and these games that were really huge. And Steam didn't take off until those games got their traction, right? So that's essentially the same model that we're taking. So we're going to make a really great game, get a lot of user acquisition, and then build out that platform with other titles as we go.
And so just to add to that from a business perspective, so all of the revenues are going to be flowing through Exodium, yes, for this game, for Infinite Fleet, right? So basically, Pixelmatic is legally under contract as a developer for Exodium, but all of the revenues of the game and things like that, they will all flow through Exodium.
So in simple sense, the investors who are investing in the EXO-EU, that is a security token, they're ultimately getting this right to profits from the Exodium business that acts as a
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Development.
Not just the game. Not just the game. Yeah, Pixelmatic is developing Infinite Fleet, and it is our flagship product. It's our first major product on the Exodium platform. Yes.
Perfect. Let's go to the next question. Is okay. This is a question I think for us mostly from STOKR side. There's, I think, a lot of questions we are receiving is how long does it take to confirm the investment, right? And I thought, okay, why not address this question also over here, because we also received few feedbacks from here. So for the investors who have already invested in Infinite Fleet, they see there in the investor dashboard that tokens have been issued, but there is still one part is still left. That is not all the bars are green. And the reason is the tokens are still not made transferable. And that's a very interesting then when you invest in ICO or any kind of other crypto tokens or crypto investments, which does not give you any financial right, but just you're investing in Apple or kind of a banana something. You just can eat it and throw it, and there is no financial rights, where EXO-EU gives financial rights inside the company's activities. So the tokens will be only made transferable, and you will see it in your green wallet, and you can transfer it to another whitelisted individual after the offering is ending. So it's after the end of the offering. So till that time, that green bar will not be fulfilled. So that part will be still empty. So don't be scared. It's just by design. And yeah, we will work maybe to make the clear copy need to be a little bit adjusted to make it much more simpler. But thanks for the feedbacks. And if there's any further questions, please feel free to reach out at support@stoker.io and we will take it from there. So that's one question that was directed, I think, to us. Also, there is one question that is coming quite often is, hey, I am situated in this country or this country and this country, and I cannot invest in the public round. We are sorry to hear that. We try to make it as accessible as possible, but sometimes because of the regulatory reasons, some regulators takes longer than than other regulators, and that creates some complexities. So we are looking into it, but we know this inconvenience and sorry for that. Hopefully things gets clearer over the period. Also, security token market is quite new. It's quite challenging to explain all the regulators, simultaneously. And this is a challenge we will overcome as we move forward. We really appreciate and value you being a part of our community. And we also really feel not happy that we can participate, but we're looking into it very seriously. And hopefully, as we move forward, we can make things easier and simpler. That's another question that we had. And okay, so now let's come to a quick question regarding the VR. So will the game be available on the VR devices?
Interesting. Yeah, that certainly on the roadmap. This is something, look, this is a big game that we're building. We want to focus our attention on what we have right now, which is basically the core of the game, the MMO experience, and then the technology that goes with that to make it awesome. As it gains traction, yes, we really want to play with VR. I can't tell you how much I want people to get on VR headsets and to be able to fly little spaceships around a battlefield. Of course, we want to do this, but it's not in the roadmap currently. So we're thinking probably, a few years down the line, because we know that VR is a huge market, and it's something that we're very excited about. Our Chief Creative Officer, Jason Lee, who was previously a veteran at Relic and, on a whole bunch of games like Age of Empires 4. And so he's playing a lot with VR right now. He says it's work. I guess it's work, but it seems like he's just playing with VR. But no, I'm just kidding. No, he's very excited about that. And I think, like I say, step by step, the first goal is to make a great MMO game, and then we can look at something like this, because it is an excellent market to get involved in.
No, I think it's interesting. And it's always good to have a focus. We have seen other games, when you try to do too many stuff at one point of time.
Scope creep. Yeah, we've got to be very careful. I mean, when you're doing an MMO, like, you can really go down all these pathways, and then you just start wasting money, essentially. You know what I mean? We want to be very focused and make sure that the core experience is great in the first place. Yeah, I think that's I think a very good thing to do, really, focus and create a core experience and core community in certain aspect, and then you move forward. And I think that's a very good strategy that you guys have taken. Hopefully you guys also stay in the track and give the best experience. Now, coming to one question that also followed up to the discussion that we had regarding Exodium, Pixelmatic, and I can see it right now over here. Is there any kind of contract that Exodium and Pixelmatic has? And how do you see that this contractual relationship is, creating kind of right? I think Hope quickly mentioned, but if you can just elaborate slightly on that point so we can maybe close that. So I didn't catch the contract between Exodium.
So what is the relationship between Exodium and the Pixelmatic? Is there any contract or some other?
Yeah. Sorry, we have a development contract, an exclusive development contract with Pixelmatic from Exodium, which of course pays the development funds for the game. Exodium is very much, ensuring that Pixelmatic is using the funds wisely. I can't announce right now, unfortunately, but we have people joining the board of directors who are, a decade's worth of experience in AAA game studios that are ensuring that that's going to be, wisely used, shall we say. So that is an announcement that'll be coming soon, but I can't do that right now.
Perfect. We also got some questions on the YouTube, and I think Emma was kind enough to provide us it here. It says, what is the current tentative release date for the game? I think you guys already mentioned that alpha is coming this month. So what is the release date, if you can share some light on that?
Sure. So as I said, yes. So the alpha is the end of the month, and we'll be having iterative releases throughout the year. Beta's looking like sort of Q2 of 21, and then 22 for the full release. But to be honest, you really want to look at it more of just like kind of an organic growth. Obviously, it's not really kind of like, the release of the game really is the end of this month, if anything. I mean, like I say, it is alpha. It is very early. It's a core experience. It's going to have a bunch of bugs, and that's, it's testing essentially. But it is an early release of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are excited. Like when there is this kind of games are coming, it's always an excitement, like when it's coming and when I can play, right? So that's a very fascinating thing. Regarding the rewards, and that's, I think, very interesting, which we also noticed, the STOs are kind of financial rights, but people are still interested about the rewards, right? If you can give when do you see, because we are also receiving questions, when we will get the rewards and how we can get it from them. And if Chris and Hope, either of you can answer to this question, is how they can get the rewards.
And I think I've been hogging all the questions. Hope maybe you want to go for it.
Yeah, so all of the game-related rewards, according to their associated tiers of investment, all of those rewards will be handed out at a later date when suitable, right? So for example, if one of the rewards is alpha access, then you're going to be able to access alpha when the alpha is ready, which will be very soon. But if one of the rewards is having a certain unique handle or a certain badge inside the game, that's going to be later, because we don't have that feature implemented yet, right? So but yeah, I mean, it's not like one deadline for everything, but we'll definitely distribute the rewards as they become ready.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think this really helps, because just for the information to all the listeners who are listening also, if you are holding a security token, the companies that have issued the security token actually knows who you are, because there is a KYC process and there is a whitelisting process. So don't get afraid that if you are participating in some ICO and they don't know who you are because you bought it again from Binance, some kind of token. In case of Infinite Fleet, that's different, because these tokens are somehow a regulated instrument, and the company usually knows who are you and where from you're coming from, so they can reach out to you for any kind of these questions that, hey, you qualify for this reward, that this is coming, how to collect it and everything. Please follow the process. So this will be very much streamlined, so don't get afraid. It will happen quite nicely as compared to other token issuance, because these are very much regulated and well structured. Now, I think as we are also moving to the end, I have a very interesting question actually for you guys, and this is something I'm a big fan of the Marvel universe, right? Myself personally, right? A question is, will we see a next Marvel universe coming from Infinite Fleet?
Well, we're not going to have the Hulk running rampage, if that's what you mean. But
it's crazy.
No, if you're asking, is this going to be a massive IP? Only time will tell, but we certainly think so. We're taking time with this IP to make sure that it's crafted extremely well. And we're, for example, Wayne, our director of art, has had like 25 years of experience in technical art, and he's really driving the AAA standard that we're going for. And what we're aiming for is this really cool style, which evokes this nostalgia from the sort of late 80s style, from like the Transformers and this kind of, and anime as well, 80s anime. This is something that we just love, and we just think it's really sexy and exciting and really cool. And we're also, unfortunately, I can't announce right now either, but we're working with a composer right now who has worked on a lot of huge 80s blockbuster movies. I mean, some of the top, you think 80s soundtracks? Well, this is going to be one that you're thinking of. Let's put it that way. We'll announce that soon. Hope's gonna put a plaster over my mouth right now. He's like, "Shut up, Chris! Stop announcing things." But yes, we believe that we're carving out an incredible IP that is going to evoke feelings of nostalgia, but also drive the future as well with this new style that we're carving out. So I think you're not going to be disappointed, Arnab. I think you're not going to be disappointed at all. It's going to be better than Marvel. Come on.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marvel, so I will not say it's better, but still at time I see it. So let's see it. Let's see how it goes. But it's good to hear that it's good to hear that you're looking into the fact. And I think the one we also received feedback from some of the investors, also users, the storyline approach of Infinite Fleet can really be a key USP. And
yeah,
hopefully that works out quite well.
And we
Do you
just hope
guys have
that,
any
I mean, sorry to cut you off there, but I think like as well, like if you look at some of the concept art that we've produced and stuff like that, these are getting top picks on ArtStation just all the time. You know, we've had this so many times, and ArtStation is the place to go for digital art. People love the things that we're putting out there. We are very, very passionate about the how this game looks, feels, and how the story is going to be told. So we think we're doing something pretty special.
All the power to you guys. Yeah, all the power to you. Do you have anything that you want to highlight, Chris and Hope, or which you think that we didn't discuss? Because I see all my questions. Yeah, we have answered all the questions mostly. So anything that you would like to highlight?
Hope, do you think there's anything we didn't touch on yet?
I just want to mention one thing, right? So by doing this security token offering, this public security token offering, where it allows N to invest and own a small piece of the project and the company, I think this is not only a good thing for us in terms of capital raising, but it's also good in terms of having our supporters become part of basically having our supporters become shareholders in that sense, right? And people who are actually passionate about the game, or people who like the game, then they will hopefully become our marketers as well for the game, right? Because if you guys invest in this game, in this company, then you have a stake in this business, right? And then you basically you can become ambassadors for the company and the game as well, which I think works in our favor, but also for our supporters themselves as well. So I think that's something that is really good, and that's something I hope we will get from our audience and our supporters.
No, I think totally supporting your vision. I think, Hope, like when we met, I remember in 2020, like 19, we met, I think, for the first time, and we got super excited about the project and the entire idea and entire vision. And actually, that's why STOKR is also here, right? STOKR is making the capital markets accessible, and we found there is a huge gap between the early stage investment and the public IPO stage, and there is not that many companies that is supporting early stage backers of the project or the gamers to invest into the companies that they really believe in. And we hope we can give some kind of positive, I would say, support to the community pack and create this bridge with the help of blockchain, with the help of the legal structures that we're providing, with the help of the platform, and with the help of all the community that we are developing along with us. And we are super excited and glad to have you guys also on STOKR. So just for everyone, if you have any further questions who are in the audience right now on the YouTube or listening via Zoom, if you have any further questions and you want to ask, which didn't happen at this point of time, which we couldn't address at this point of time, please go to STOKR.io and go to the comment section. Please put your comments, and Chris or Hope or any member from the team will answer questions over there. If the questions are directed to STOKR, we will also answer over there. If you're listening on the YouTube, if you're listening this as a recorded video, please also do the same. Head on to STOKR.io and put your comments, and we will respond there as fast as possible. For any questions regarding investments, your KYC, your payments and everything, please feel free to write us at support@stokr.io. We try to reach out as early as possible and solve your problems. So please don't hesitate. We are always there for you guys. So happy to help anytime. Thank you very much, Chris and Hope, for joining the discussion. It was a great talking to you guys. Thank you for having you guys here.
It's very nice to be here, Arnab. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening. I'm not sure if we got through all the questions, but I'm always available. Like you say, head over to STOKR.io, leave those comments. I'll do my best to get to you. Like I say, my inbox has been hot on fire lately, so I'll do my best. Let's put it that way. And I'm always available on Telegram and Telegram groups and whatnot as well, which I think the information should be available on the platform.
Perfect. Thank you to all the listeners for the questions and your interest, and special thanks to Emma, Jiman, and Gabriela, who are also supporting behind this webinar for making this happen. Looking forward to meeting you again for the next AMS session. Till the time, love you guys and see you soon. Ciao.
We'll see you in the game soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.